Thank you, Jagannathan, and thank you all the devotees for joining in. So I'm gonna present my screen. It's a short chapter, chapter 32. Yeah, entanglement and fruitive activities. There is, I think, 43 verses. If I'm not wrong. 43 verses. So maybe 10, 10 set four set of devotees can read. 10 each, and the last one can read 13. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Prabhu.
So any volunteers? Okay. Nupur Mataji, yeah, you can start the reading.
Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts the same way. Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness, devotional service. Such materialistic persons, attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods, can be elevated to the moon, where they drink an extract of the Soma plant. They again return to this planet. All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets, such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Anantasesha. Those who are intelligent and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Freed from the modes of material nature, they do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act. By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness, and by thus executing so called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons
Something happened. Sorry. Uh, yeah.
Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of material and spiritual worlds and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution. Worshippers of Hiranyagarbha, expansion of the supreme personality of Godhead, remain within this material world until the end of two paradhas when Lord Brahma also dies. After experiencing the inhabitable time of the three modes of material nature, known as the two paradhas, Lord Brahma closes the material universe, which is covered by layers of earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, ego, etc., and goes back to Godhead. The yogis who become detached from the material world by practice of breathing exercises and control of the mind reach the planet of Brahma, which is far, far away. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of Lord Brahma, and therefore, when Brahma is liberated and goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Brahman, such yogis can also enter into the kingdom of God. Thank you.
Kameshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart. My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self interest, but even demigods such as Lord Brahma Great sages such as Sanat Kumara and great munis such as Marinchi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and who is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated uh, by their non-fruitive activities and attain the first incarnation of Purusha, but at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms, positions they previously had. Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely and with great faith. They daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to the fruitive activities, fruitive result. Such persons, impelled by the mode of passion, are full of anxieties and always aspire for some gratification due to uncontrolled senses. They worship the forefathers and are busy day and night improving the economic condition of their family, social, or national life. Such persons are called tri trivargika, trivargika because they are interested in the three elevating processes. They are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can give relief to the conditioned soul. They are not interested in the Supreme Personality's pastimes, which are worth hearing because of his transcendental prowess. Such persons are condemned by the Supreme Order of the Lord because they are averse to the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are compared to stool eating hogs. They give up hearing and transcendental They give up hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord and indulge in hearing of the abominable activities of materialistic persons. Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pityaloka, like the southern course of the sun, but they again come back to this planet and take birth in their own families, doing again and same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life. Right.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nandi Mataji Ritesh Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. When the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they fall down by higher arrangement and again come back to this planet. Just as any person raised to a high position sometimes all of a sudden falls. My dear mother, I therefore advise that you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for his lotus feet are worth worshipping. Accept this with all devotion and love, for thus you can be situated in transcendental devotional service. Engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment, as well as in self realization. The exalted devotee's mind becomes equipoised in sensory activities, and he is transcendental to that which is agreeable and not agreeable. Because of his transcendental intelligence, the pure devotee is equipoised in his vision and sees himself to be uncontaminated by matter. He does not see anything as superior or inferior, and he feels himself elevated to the transcendental platform of being equal in qualities with the Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is complete transcendental knowledge, but according to the different process of understanding, he appears differently, either as impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as the Purusha Avatar. The greatest common understanding for all yogis is complete detachment from matter, which can be achieved by different kinds of yoga. Those who are averse to the transcendence realize the supreme absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be relative. From the total energy, the Mahat Tattva, I have manifested the self, the false ego, the three modes of material nature, the five material elements, the individual consciousness, the 11 senses, and the material body. Similarly, the entire universe has come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This perfect knowledge can be achieved by a person who is already engaged in devotional service with faith, steadiness, and full detachment, and who is always absorbed in thought of the Supreme. He is aloof from material association. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else? Okay, Nityeshwari Mataji can finish the chapter.
My dear respectful mother, I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth by which one can come to understand the real truth of matter and spirit and their relationship. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Godhead. A single object,
Sorry.
sorry, a single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting renounced order of life, by performing the prescribed duties of one's social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the science of self realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment. One who is expert in understanding the different processes of self realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. My dear mother, I have explained to you the process of devotional service and its identity in four different social divisions. I have explained to you as well how eternal time is chasing the living entities, although it is imperceptible to them. There are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his movements will end. Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, not to persons who are non-devotees and nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious to the devotees and of the personality of Godhead. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed attached detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, will surely go back, surely goes back home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reading. And thank you all the devotees who volunteered. So let me just present my screen. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Prabhu.
And it's just the slides or the presenter notes also?
Just the slide.
Just the slide. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so before we start, I'll offer my prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So before I start the topic, I would like to seek blessings from all the devotees on the call and who might be listening it afterwards over the Zoom call. So um, this is a very deep topic, entanglement in fruitive activities. And while reading it, I had this feeling that I am definitely not qualified to speak on this topic because I don't have any realization. And maybe surely I'm practicing fruitive activities in my daily life. So, but such is the glory of the devotees that they want to give opportunity to someone uh, just for the betterment of myself. So yeah, and yeah, so let's start. So, hope my audio is clear, or should I switch over to a microphone?
It's clear as of now, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. So, quick recap of chapter 31, which our beloved Jagannath Gopal Prabhu spoke on last week. And it was so amazing, such an amazing chapter where we talked about several topics. So, I have prepared a summary of five main topics that we covered in last week's class. So, chapter 31, the first thing was the Jiva's entrance and growth and suffering in the womb. So, here we saw how advanced the Vedic knowledge is, and we also saw such a detailed understanding and such a detailed description of how an embryo grows within the womb of a mother, starting from day one to the time the embryo is 6 months old. And then we also saw how much suffering it is, uh, how much suffering the embryo goes through during the process of pregnancy. And this is something which is not revealed and yet discovered by the scientists. And but we read that even when a mother eats something pungent, so that acts like an acid on the baby's body. And there are worms inside the womb of mother which feed on the flesh of the child. So all those details were very disturbing, especially when we have so many mothers on the call. But yeah, that's the reality. And then the second topic, what we talked about was prayers by the devotee Jiva within the womb. So it was beautiful to see that the Jiva uh, in womb is suffering and yet it is praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So uh, this is the point where the consciousness is very pure and it is praying to the Supreme Lord that please alleviate this misery and get me out of uh, uh, this womb so that I can worship you, I can serve you. And then we also discussed about whether GKP sent a song, a bhajan, Vaishnava bhajan, Bhuliya Tumare, which specifically talks about this, that Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes that I saw you in the womb, but then when I came out, uh, because of the warmth of the laps of my relative, I forgot you, got into the sinful activities. So the third topic which we talked about last week is suffering of the jiva after he comes out of the womb. So the suffering doesn't end in the womb. The suffering continues when when the baby uh, appears in this world outside the womb. It's written that first of all it falls from a height, and then it's covered in mucus, bile, stool, blood, and as soon as it gets in touch with the floor or the surface, the worms and other insects are ready to bite the tender flesh on the baby's body. And the suffering doesn't end over there. The suffering continues as the baby grows up. In the childhood, because of the unfulfilled desire, there's a lot of suffering. And yeah, and then the third topic which we talked about last week was the effects of bad association. So once the baby grows up, due to bad association, the baby gets into the karmic activity. It performs a lot of sinful activities and get into the cycle of birth and death. And it specifically, there was one verse where Kapil Dev was mentioning that due to the bad association, the jivas, it starts performing sinful activities, which confirms his ticket in hell. And this image which I have on the screen, that is of Ajamil. So Ajamil is a perfect example of how a bad association can, uh, you know, make sure that the jiva is progressing towards hell. Right. So yeah, this is directly from the purports. In bad association, he loses all good qualities: truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of mind and senses. And the last topic, what we discussed last time, was understanding birth and death and going beyond. So, depending on the activities of the jiva wanders on this earth and to different planets. Uh, Depending on its action, he enjoys and suffers the karma phal. Right. So that was a detailed summary of what we discussed last week. And actually, these two chapters are very much in sync. So in last chapter, we saw that how bad association lead a jiva to the hellish planets, right? But we didn't talk about the upper planets. So that is what is gonna be detailed about in this chapter. So Canto 3, Chapter 32, Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. So a quick question, dear devotees. So fruitive activities is a word which is very commonly spoken about in ISKCON circles. So just wanted to get an idea of what we mean by fruitive activities. Yeah, please feel free to unmute and speak up.
Activities that end up causing karmic reactions.
Activities that end up causing karmic reaction. Yes, yes, absolutely correct, Mataji. That's right. Any other understanding?
So
I was trying.
sakama karma,
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
is it sakama karma? Doing some karma for expecting something in return.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. So, fruitive active, absolutely right, Prabhuji. So, sakam karma is so if we break fruitive activities, the root word of fruitive activity is fruit. So, whenever we do any activity which with a desire of a fruit, like for example, if I host my boss at my house, right, and the desire is to get a promotion, right? So that activity is fruitive. Why? Because I have fruit in my mind that if I do this activity, if I host my boss at my house, I will get a promotion. That is the fruit which I want to taste later. And definitely sakama karma is also very closely related to it, because I have a desire to attain that fruit. So there is no activity in this world which does not have any result. All the activities in this world have a result. But if I desire that result, that fruit born by that activity, that is sakama karma. So thank you, Prabhuji, for jumping and talking about sakama karma, because that is what is the first topic in this chapter. So this chapter I've broken down into four main topics. The first topic is attached workers, practitioner of practitioner of sakam karma. So yeah, so when we talk about the attached workers or practitioners of Sakam Karma, so um, do you feel that there is any division between Sakama Karmis, or all type of practitioner who's seeking fruits are absolutely the same? Okay, so I did some study in this chapter, and what I found was, oops, yeah. So what I found that there are two type of people who wants to eat fruit. One is the impious worker, for which we talked about in chapter number 31. And then there is pious but attached worker. So impious workers, in previous chapter we saw how due to bad association, in order to satisfy the senses, the pure consciousness of Jiva transforms and lead him to hell. So this is the specific verse which in chapter 31, which talks about this. So Kapil Muni says, if therefore the living entity again associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and gratification of palate, he again goes to hell as before. Right. So here, one thing is very important to note is that these workers are very rampant in the Kali Yuga. These are, if you see it by percentage, impious workers are at max. People, when they say that you only live once, they say that you do everything and anything to gain pleasure of senses. Right? They don't believe in the Vedic instructions. They don't believe that there is a better way to enjoy in this material world, or beyond this material world. They just believe that, okay, I have a bottle of alcohol and this gives me illusion which is very pleasurable, so let me drink it. I have this a plate of non-veg, so let me just taste the masala on my tongue so that I can feel satisfied in my belly and my tongue. So those who rejects the Vedic injunctions, those who don't care about the reactions, karmic reactions, those workers are the first category of attached workers. And then the second category is pious but attached workers. So here, pious but attached worker class, it's little better than the previous class because they believe in the scriptures. They do believe in the Vedic injunctions. They believe that if you worship Lord Ganesh, you will get a solution to all your major problems. They believe that if you worship Goddess Saraswati, then she will give you knowledge. They believe that if you worship Kuber or Lakshmi uh, on Diwali, you will always have a job. So, and because of that, their belief in the Vedas, they use dharma for artha and kama. So ultimately, they use Vedic injunctions to satisfy their artha, which is economic, and kama means their desires. But these kind of people, Prabhupada in the purports as well as Lord Kapila Dev in the verses, he specifically says that these kind of people will never attain liberation. Why? Because such kind of people are very averse to listening to Hari Bhakti. If you talk to them about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if you talk to them about being a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's very palatable for them and they will reject immediately. They'll say that, okay, if there is an easy path for me to enjoy in this world, so let me just take that. Why should I do some austerity for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? If I want to do austerity, I'll do it for, let's say, Ganesh, so that he can resolve my problems. So such a person is averse to bhakti, but worship devtas and pitras with full faith, due to which he goes to heavenly planet. So now, if the question is like sometimes if you talk to these people and tell them that if you go to the heavenly planet you again have to come back, and if you um, worship demigods, actually demigods are also getting their power from the supreme personality of godhead, so why to go to the ministers, just directly go to the prime minister? So they might come up and they might say that, okay, if that is the case, then I'll do so much of pious activities that I will always be in heaven. Is that a possibility? Is that a valid comment? What do you think, devotees?
Always be in heaven. No, they can't always be in heaven. They will run out of their pious activities at some point and then come down again.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji, exactly. And if someone says that, okay, I will do such a huge amount of pious credits, for example, I'll be Indra and much more than Indra, that I'll always be in heaven because my pious account will never deplete.
Hmm. Well,
Hypothetical situation.
I mean, is that even like we are finite beings, right? So being finite is innate to us. We can't be infinite in anything, right?
Yes, yes,
So
Prabhuji.
then, we are limited by our ability to create good karma, we are limited in everything. So we are limited by in our ability to create good karma.
Yeah.
So however much we try, we will still end up being limited. Although that limited may be a long, a very huge thing, huge,
Yes.
amount of good karma, but still it is limited. It will run out at
Excellent.
some.
Excellent point, Prabhuji. So we are limited. And if someone wants to argue and he says that, okay, let's say your Krishna has granted me that I will be having, I can cure unlimited punya. Will that be equivalent to going to Goloka?
Um, Unlimited punya equal to going to Goloka.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a really hypothetical situation.
Sindhu Kanya Mataji, have your hand raised.
Sorry, I have a question. So
Yes,
I don't have
Mataji.
an answer to that
Yeah.
question, but I had myself had a question. So, like you said, and we've always read that in the Bhagavatam that, or I guess in the Bhagavad Gita that you can accumulate a lot of good karma and then you go to the heavenly planets and then when you spend all that good karma you come back. But what about like the karma that you accumulate when you are in the heavenly planets? Like, I mean, you have very I mean, you're surrounded by sattva guna and there's not as much impious activity going on in the heavenly worlds anyway. So is it possible to accumulate good karma in the heavenly planets and just continue to live there without having to come back to the material world because you're constantly just accumulating more and more good karma?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mataji. So, as per my understanding, please feel free, Gaur Kumar Prabhu, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, or any devotee to correct me. But what I understand is that the karmas are only accumulated on earth. If you go to hell, you just, suffer pain, which, reduces your and then if you go to heaven, you utilize your punya, which keeps on reducing till the time you don't have any much more punya, and then you have to come back to earth again.
Yes,
I'm
Prabhu.
not sure. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that is accurate, Prabhu. Just one thing I want to add is that on this earthly planet, about 50% good and bad will be given to you of your karma, of your sanchit karma. And you burn about 50% of your good karma and 50% of your bad karma. And as Samaksh Prabhu mentioned, whatever you do here, you acquire equal amount of good or bad karma. But as you progress to the heavenly planets or to the hellish planets, you have to do a lot of good things to acquire even a small amount of good karma. So let's say you are in a heavenly planet, you have to do lots and lots of good things to acquire even a small drop of good karma. So pretty much you're just burning good karma there and then you'll come down. And if you go to the hellish planets also, you have to do lots and lots of good things or bad things to, incur more good or bad karma. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Yes, just to add to both of you, it's like in theory, yes, it is possible to accrue good karma in anywhere. Like for example, in our universe, in the Brahma Loka, Lord Brahma, he's our Sampradaya Acharya, he's a pure devotee. Okay. Similarly, on the Sutala planet, in the hellish, in the lower planetary systems, there is Prahlad Maharaj who is still residing there, right? And Bali Maharaj. So yes, that principle of Narayana Parasarvena Kutaschana Bidbhyati, Swarga Apavarga Narkeshu Tulyartha Darshana, that is definitely there. But as both Gaur Kumar Prabhu and Samaksh Prabhu alluded to it, it is very difficult. It is extremely difficult because if in the heavenly worlds there is so much enjoyment that it's the effort that it takes to do good activities or to do spiritual activities is very high. And on the other hand, in the hellish planets, in the lower planetary systems also, suffering is so much that it's tough. It's not impossible, it's tough. So, but yeah, typically it doesn't happen. Typically, we have to come back. Usually, in most cases, we have to come back to the earth, and yeah, we need a balanced atmosphere to make good karma. Maharaj talks about balance. I'm just taking a tangent from there. Balance is needed if we want to progress, right? So, in spiritual life, extreme
So,
or not.
so basically, the heavenly planets don't have any Vaishnavas?
They do, but there is also a lot of enjoyment. So paying heed to the Vaishnavas and that takes a lot of determination, I would say. Just my understanding. Yeah. But it's not in theory, I think it is possible. I wouldn't totally rule it out for sure. But in general, I don't think it is possible for most jivas who are entangled. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry for derailing the
No, no,
No,
discussion.
Madhuri, it was on track. And yeah, so the question which I was asking was that if someone says that I will accumulate so much of pious activity, good karma, that I will always be in heaven. So actually, in this chapter, the answer was given to that argument, and Lord Kapila says that even if you are always you have so much of pious karma to be in heaven, number one, heaven is not a place of all enjoyment. You will have to suffer the four diseases of this material condition over there also, and death is over there also. And the other thing is that at the end of Brahma's life cycle, even the heavenly planets where these pious attached workers want to go by worshipping Pitra and Devtas, those planets will also be submerged in the water of devastation. So your dream world is actually temporary. So so then the purpose for which you were wanting to escape this world, that is not fulfilled. Nobody wants temporariness. Everybody wants stability of life, stability of economy, right? So they wanted stability of their life, but that is not stable. If yeah, so any thoughts about that, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu?
no, it's perfect, Prabhu. What you said is perfect.
So then, talking about this, you know, uh, what there are two questions. I think we somewhat answered it during the discussion, but let's take it up nevertheless. So, what will be the destiny of the pious but attached workers on heavenly planet? Any reference from Bhagavad Gita? So, once they go to the heavenly planet, what is their destiny?
That 9th chapter verse, Thetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punya marte lokam vishanti.
Spot on, Prue, spot on. So 921, Shinya Punye Mratya Lokam Mratya Lokam Vishanti. So when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly senses, pleasures, and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Right. Yeah. And then the second question. So, among these two classes of fruitive workers, do you see any similarity?
Both are working.
Both are working. Yes, Rosie.
And both of them have to be in that cycle, whether they go to hell or heaven again, they have to like do the whole birth and death and all the four bad problems they have to face.
Yes, that is also there. Perfect. There's one more thing which I'm looking. I did not even think about all these things while asking this question, but yeah, these are all valid similarities. So there's a message. Both are attached. Both are attached. Yes, very close, Mataji or Ritesh Prabhu. Any specific thing they are attached to?
Sense enjoyment.
Yes, absolutely, Prabhu. So both are trying to enjoy their senses. One wants immediate enjoyment, the other wants to do some austerity for delayed enjoyment. But yeah, the purpose is sense enjoyment in both. Right. So now, from this section, there were some insights which I extracted out from the attached workers, which is very relevant to us devotees also. So the first one is, you know, we are encouraged to dovetail our material desires in Krishna consciousness. But what does it mean when Krishna consciousness itself becomes a tool for fulfilling those desires? How do we recognize the line between sincere devotion and subtle material motivation? Can you think of situation where this line might be blurred in real life? Long question, but I think very intuitive one.
Can you repeat the question again, Prabhuji?
Yes, Roji. So it's on the screen. If you want to read, you can also read, but I'll repeat it. So we are encouraged to dovetail our material desires in Krishna consciousness. But what does it mean when Krishna consciousness itself becomes a tool for fulfilling those desires? How do we recognize the line between sincere devotion and subtle material motivation? Can you think of situations where this line might blur in real life?
Yeah, like if I do services for glory, or if someone is doing book distribution to travel, or Kirtan just ends up being like a nice rock music, and if they don't like the tune, they feel, I didn't have fun today. So, like all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you,
Like
Vrinda.
like when we are when we make prasadam for really we're making it for ourselves, but uh, but we but you use the just the opportunity to make it for the Lord as an excuse, because really we really want it for ourselves.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, I totally resonate with that comment because I remember only yesterday I was telling Vrinda that, Laddu Gopal wants to eat something sweet. So she cooked some sweet chocolate uh, chocolate I don't even know the name, but yeah, chocolate crumbles or something. But then yeah, so I told that okay, Laddu Gopal wants to eat, but actually who wanted to eat? Me. So yeah, that is true, Prabhuji. So essentially the idea of this question is to understand that in Krishna consciousness we all are taught, and we all know about the fact that, whatever activity we are doing, just dovetail it for Krishna, and then it becomes devotional activity, right? But when we are doing some devotional activity, there is a very strong desire, and there is a very strong tendency to gain some material benefits out of it. And it can be very silent, like it might not even pop into your head, but actually you will be enjoying those subtle material benefits out of it. For example, if somebody is a great kirtanya, like Vrinda was saying, the initial push to do kirtan might be devotion, but then when the entire room is full, and then you are touching the fifth note, and so at that particular point of time, it is very difficult for someone not to see back and check if people are enjoying it or not, right? And so that is the time when Krishna consciousness becomes a tool for fulfilling those desires. And similarly, I was contemplating, and I was writing some journals when I saw and I thought that, I personally, when I do some service, so I'm not at that platform where I don't ask myself what is in it for me. You know, even for giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, when I was preparing for it, the worst case scenario ideology or thought process goes in my mind. Okay, what's the worst case that's gonna happen? I'm gonna learn out of it. I'm gonna learn something about Krishna, right? So if it is just learning, or if it is just speaking, then it is material. But when you attach it to Krishna, then it becomes devotional activity. So yeah, thank you, dear devotees, for sharing that. And how do we recognize the line between sincere devotion and subtle material motivation? So that is very personal. We cannot judge others on this, because if we start judging, we might commit Vaishnava offense. It is something we all have to do for ourselves. So whenever we are doing some activity, we should just keep in mind, how am I pleasing Krishna out of it? So for example, um, Vrinda, she, whenever she makes garlands, so she makes garlands in a way, like whenever she comes back to home and she talk to me about the garland seva, she always mentioned this point that, I was just praying to the Lord that they accept my service. So that's the mood with which I'm aspiring for, to attain that mood, so that in my service I can just offer my service and not my outcome of my service. Right. So next question, in his purport to verse 332.5, Prabhupada explains that as long as one work for his personal sense gratification, he will always be full of anxiety. Can we conclude that if we are completely focused on Krishna consciousness, we will be free from all forms of anxiety? A hint for this is a class by Gaur Kumar Prabhu. He spoke about this in one of his class.
So in Krishna consciousness, we have spiritual anxiety like Mother Yashoda has when Krishna runs with the calves and does all these crazy things.
Yes, yes. So when Prabhupada speaks here about anxiety, so if we read the purport line again, as long as one works for his personal sense gratification, he will always be in full of anxiety. So here Prabhupada, when he's talking about anxiety, that is material anxiety. For example, there are so many anxieties in this world about job market, about somebody else earning more money, or my age is running out, I'm not getting a suitable girl. um, there are so many anxieties, right? But in Krishna consciousness, actually, there are no material anxiety, but yes, there are spiritual anxiety. So taking the point what Brinda just mentioned, so Gaur Kumar Prabhu, in one of his lectures, he said that, you know relationships means responsibility, and if you have responsibility for someone, there always will be anxiety. For example, Mother Yashoda always had anxiety about Krishna. Where is he? Has he ate the entire day while he was in the forest? And when Pranavrata took Krishna away from Vrindavan up in the clouds, Mother Yashoda was not able to find uh, Krishna anywhere around the house. Even the Vrajvasis, they were anxious. They were anxiously searching for Krishna everywhere. So anxiety is there in spiritual world also, but the source of anxiety over there is absolute, which is Krishna, not the temporary things of this material world. Yeah. So Gaurakumar Prabhu, if you want to add on to this, or like if I mistakenly spoke something wrong.
No, no, Prabhu, it is perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
And then third one. So yeah. So while preparing for this lecture, I heard a lecture which was by Hari Bhakti Prabhu. He is in ISKCON Chittorgarh. Like I was searching for some lectures on this chapter, and I just stumbled upon his lecture, and he was giving this story from. He didn't mention from the Upanishad, but it is very nice story. So he said that once upon a time there was this man who was going in the forest, and while he was walking, he saw a Swami who was sitting with his disciple, and he was giving a lecture on how devotional service is the topmost form of yoga. So this man, he heard that lecture very precisely, and then out of his interest, he was standing at the back of the crowd. And then Swamiji called him up to him and asked, "Okay, so now you've heard the lecture. Why don't you start the devotional service from today? Why don't you start chanting?" So this person, he said that, "Oh Swamiji, I have so much of work. I have family of six to take care of. I have a crop which is ready to be harvested in the fields, and I have a sister who's ready to be married. I have to earn money for her marriage. So I have so much, and to be honest, I'm just 26, and I believe that devotional service is something which should come later when you are 60. you know at Even Shastra says that you should take sannyas at 60. So Swamiji listened very patiently to this person, and then he said that, "Okay, thank you for enlightening me, and then can you walk with me, and or can you actually drop me somewhere in the village?" So the person, graciously agreed. And then they both, Swami and this man, were walking. And while they were walking, there was a river which came in their path. So Swamiji, seeing the river, immediately sat down, and he was just looking at the river. So this person who was walking with Swamiji, he was very confused, but he did not ask any question out of courtesy. So 1 hour passed by, 2 hour passed by, 3 hour passed by, and after 3 hours, being agitated, this person asked, "Swamiji, why are you wasting my time? You said that you wanted my company till the village, but to reach the village, we have to cross this river. So let's just walk and find a bridge to cross this river." But then Swamiji said that no, I will only cross this river when the entire water of this river will stop and the river will give me way. So then the man started laughing at Swamiji, and he said that if that is the case, Swamiji, you sit over here because this river is not gonna stop anytime soon. And then listening to this, Swamiji immediately replied, he said that you are very intelligent. You know that the river will not gonna stop anytime, and I will have to find a bridge to cross it. Then why don't you understand that this guna, this river of three gunas and karma will never stop. So if you wait, practice devotional service, then you will never be able to reach the village, which is Goloka. So therefore, whatever situation you are in, whatever condition you are in, you should practice devotional service. Now, when I reflected back on this story, how is it relevant to us as devotees? So we as devotees also, sometimes due to a lot of work pressure or due to a lot of service pressure, we forget about the basic of spirituality. We forget about the basics of sadhana, which is our chanting. Sometimes we push our chanting to the end of the day, and sometimes we are so busy at the end of the day also that we are listening to a lecture and doing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then basically we are like that man who is saying that he has so much on his plate, but forgetting the real purpose of life. So similarly, you know, that is what I learned about from that story. And yeah, I had one more lesson from that. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, when we work really hard for big promotions, big comfortable house, good bank balance, being a devotee, we all want to give our family a comfortable life. So we might get all those things, but while pursuing those things, if we forget the basics of our bhakti yoga, then maybe we will achieve the goal, but we will lose the purpose. So we don't want that for ourselves. So therefore, I really like this story. If anyone have any comments, concerns, or anything around this, please, devotees, unmute and speak. Okay, so I'll speed up a bit because I have few more slides to cover up. So then, yeah, so the last insight what I have gained from this attached worker is that in verse 332, 18, 19, Lord Kapila states that fruitive workers are primarily focused on dharma, artha, kama, while they are averse to harikatha. As a result, they are compared to hogs that eat stool and are attached to asat gatha. If we reverse this perspective, we can understand why a devotee may sometimes lose their interest for hearing spiritual narrations. What is the solution in that case? So yeah, um, so like fruitive workers, they don't want to hear Hari Hari Katha. Similarly, if a devotee is very much materially influenced, they are doing fruitive activity uh, day in and day out, and they forget purpose. They can immediately see the taste which is evaporating from their heart to learn more about Krishna. So, and this is something, which I have experienced in the past. And the only thing which have helped me in that case is to continue taking the medicine, which is, coming in the association of devotees. That is like an injection. You inject Hari devotion in your blood streams, and then you get the taste immediately back. So yeah, getting the association of devotees, reading and doing kirtan with them. So this is my take on this. Anyone else want to speak on this? Like when you see taste evaporating, what has helped you?
So, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Listening to Katha always helps me, Prabhu, but I agree with you that, being getting the association of devotees is an important inspiration.
Thank you,
Uh,
Prabhu. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Jagannath Gopal
Also,
Prabhu, you unmuted. Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, he can go if he
No,
was
no, please
first.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so this reminds me of the story that my Guru Maharaj tells, Vaisheshika Maharaj. He says, or he tells the story of how there was one point in his life where he was feeling very demotivated, um, slightly depressed, kind of, and it wasn't at the time like practically chanting. So his mom, who was at that time not a devotee, but loved him very, very much, obviously. She knew how much chanting had an impact on him and how much it meant to him and how he had dedicated his whole life to this movement and Srila Prabhupada. and she loves her son, and so she told him like, get out your bead bag, put your hand in the bead bag, and start chanting. And he felt so inspired by the words coming from his mom, who was not a devotee at the time, that he instantly got that motivation to go back and start chanting. And eventually, when she passed, she actually took initiation from him.
Wow.
And yeah, so yeah, she was in the end chanting Hare Krishna, but yeah, that having that loving and faithful relationships in life, even if they're not devotees, but they know you and they know and they want the best for you, that always helps when it comes to feeling kind of demotivated sometimes.
Wow. That's such a sweet story. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. It's like so perfect for this discourse because Visheshika Maharaj, being a son, was also a guru of his mother. So, wow. Thank you. So, moving on. So, the next topic, I'm just gonna make it a little quick because we have very less time left. So, the next topic is detached workers, practitioner of Nishkama Karma. So, Nishkama Karma, so basically, whatever activity we do, you can, as per this chapter, you can quantify it into three different ways. Either the activity will be as an impious worker against the Vedic injunctions, or it will be in accordance to the Vedic injunctions, but with a desire for eating the fruit. And then third one is the detached, being a detached worker. So, what is being a detached worker? Sorry. Yeah. So, the definition of Nishkama Karma Yogi, they are the intelligent people who execute Swadharma with detachment and do not desire the fruit of their action but offer them to the Lord. And these people are always peaceful, pure in consciousness, and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism. So, now when we say about peaceful, again, so there, if anyone tries to find peace in this material world, it is practically impossible. So when we say that they are peaceful, that means they are peaceful in their Krishna bhakti. And because they are peaceful in their Krishna bhakti, they are, untouched by the waves of this material world. If in a devotee's life, if anything is going good, that's by the mercy of Lord. But we are not doing devotion to have everything very comfortable in our lives. That is very clear in devotional practice. And even when sometimes devotees try to find satisfaction in their material world, they unfortunately become disgusted because devotional life is not for getting comfortable in this material world, but actually getting comfortable in your devotional practice. Right? And similarly, Prabhupada said that chant and be happy. Many devotees they assume that Prabhupada meant that if you chant, you will be happy in this material world. But that's not the case. Prabhupada said that chant and and also be happy, which means that you chant enthusiastically, happily for the Lord. Right? And so, quick question. Any example of Nishkama Karma Yogi that comes to your mind from Shastras or any Acharya? Okay, going once. Anyone? Any clue?
So
Yes.
Janak Maharaj. So see, the thing is with Nishkam Karma Yoga now, we like for example, we could on one level say Arjuna is also Nishkam Karma Yogi, right?
Yes.
But then he's also Bhakti Yogi.
Yeah,
So
Prabhuji.
a
So
very
actually, that's the progression. You are right on track, spot on. So that's the progression eventually. So the second question, if you see, is this the final stage where we want to be? If not, what's missing?
So why I said, sorry, just to add one more thing, why I said Janak Maharaj is because in the Gita it says karmanaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadaya.
Yes.
So Janak Maharaj attained perfection by doing his prescribed duty in a detached manner.
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. So Nishkama karma is actually an attribute to devotion. So if you add devotion to Nishkama karma, then it becomes Bhakti Yoga. But all the devotees are expected to act without the desire of fruit. So therefore, we can say Bhakti Yoga is a superset within which Nishkama karma also resides. But it's not sufficient. And we will see some examples. How is it not sufficient? So for some examples over here about Nishkama karma yogi is Arjuna, because he was doing the fight. He was fighting for the pleasure of Krishna, as he you know asked him to do. And then another great example is Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada was on Jalduta, if you happen to read his Jalduta diaries, that the poem, he's saying to the so actually he's writing in the poem that, oh dear Lord, I don't know why are you sending me to this west world, which is the center of the material nature, but I'm sure that you have some plans for me. So nachao nachao, right? So therefore, Nishkama Karma Yogi, he attributes everything. Like Prabhupada took so much pain to go to West. He talked to so many people. He tried to arrange visas before, but when he was actually coming on the cruise, he did not say that because of my efforts I am able to go to the West. He said that, oh my Lord, it is just because of your will, and because you have a plan, that's why I'm going. So that's actually the type of nishkama karma attitude we should aim for. And then answer to the second question, like Jagannath Gopal Prabhu mentioned, that this is not the stage we are aspiring for. What is missing is bhakti. So here, Kapila Dev, he is talking about yogis, Hiranyagarbha worshippers. So actually, Hiranyagarbha worshippers worship Brahma or Mahavishnu. So even if they worship Brahma, they can go to the planet of Brahma, which is Brahmaloka, but they have to wait till the end of Brahma's life cycle to get liberated. And they will not get liberation if they have devotion only for Brahma, if they have only performed devotional service to Brahma. Because Brahma doesn't have the capability or the jurisdiction to liberate any jiva from the material world. The only person who has capability to liberate a jiva from this material world is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how can we say that? So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mam Maya Durataya. So this is my material energy which I am controlling. So if it is Krishna's energy and nobody is above Krishna or his energy, then how can Brahmaji, who's appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, supersede Krishna's decision and overpower his energy to liberate Jiva? Therefore, worshippers of Devi Devtas, they remain in this material world, and they might go to higher heavenly planets to the Devtas, but they will never get liberation. Yeah. And because in the purports it is written, because of their absence of bhakti, Brahma and others have to return to the place where people perform sakama karma. So what to talk about the devotees of Brahma? Even if Brahma ji doesn't have devotion towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at the end of the universe he will not get liberation. He will again have to come in this world as a jiva, and not necessarily Brahma, because Brahma is decided. Some other Jiva has to become Brahma. So they have to come into this world as a normal Jiva, go through the cycle of birth and death, attain the devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then get liberation. Quick question. Can you recall some instances where we understand liberation is beyond the supervision of Lord Brahma?
Hiranyakashipu.
Definitely, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah, Hiranyakashipu was given boons by Lord Brahma, but then Lord Krishna found a way to satisfy his boons, but also punish the person, Hiranyakashipu. Yeah, anybody else? I saw some people go unmute.
I was going to say this one. Yeah, same thing. Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah, yeah. Hiranyakashipu. And then if we see Lord Brahma is under the influence of the material energy himself. If you see the Brahma Vimohan Leela, so he gets illusioned by Krishna's Maya potency. He was not able to see Krishna through, he was not able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the Krishna's Leela. And he did not even know about how many Brahmas existed in this in multiple universe, right? So we see that Brahma's jurisdiction is not of that of giving liberation to the jivas. And then the second question, now we understand how important bhakti is, and we all should feel very fortunate that we got this opportunity to practice bhakti yoga and practice such a sublime process, which can which is the topmost as per the Vedas. So, what do you think, devotees? Is bhakti very easy? Is it very easy? Easy to practice, easy to attain, easy to go? Even the yogis who are meditating for ages on the on to please Lord Brahma, they are not able to get liberated. But we say that being comfortable in our chairs and doing bhakti yoga, we'll be able to. Yes, Prabhuji.
It's
Jagannath Prabhu.
they say na bhakti is simple but not easy. So in the
Yes,
sense that the practices of bhakti are seemingly simple, they are not complicated. So it's not like you have to read hundreds and hundreds of books to and perfect your yogic postures and things like that to gain siddhis.
yes,
Bhakti could just be offering simple incense. So if you compare the yogi with the bhakta who is offering incense, one might
yeah,
feel, what is this simplistic thing, incense? But then that simple activities, if done right, the right consciousness can give a perfection much higher than what the yogi is achieving. So yeah, it's simple, but then yeah, that why it's not easy is because we have to keep our egos aside.
yes,
That is the most difficult thing, I think. I always say this, bhakti is the most difficult process because we have to keep our ego aside. We have to conquer our ego. In all other processes, yeah, you might conquer your senses, you might conquer your mind, but still, till that desire for liberation is there is still that ego present in some subtle form. And
absolutely.
but in bhakti, you need to give that up also. That is why bhakti is the most difficult, I feel. Yeah.
Amazing, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving such a nice perspective. So, very recently, on YouTube, I was listening to this lecture by Braj Vihari Prabhu from Chowpatty Temple, and I really liked this video, and somehow this point was pictured in my mind, and while I was preparing this session, it just came up and I found this video. So it's a 4-minute clip. Take a look at it. What Prabhu says about bhakti. Is it easy? What's happening? Is this the one? Yes. Is it audible?
Not
Yes, Prabhuji?
not clear, Prabhu.
Not clear. Okay. I stop sharing my screen and sharing. share sound.
इतने लोगों का लाइफ बदल गया।
Is it now?
ये
Now, yes. Now, yes.
Okay.
आध्यात्मिक जीवन ऐसा होता था। ये श्लोक जो है आध्यात्मिक जीवन का इंटरेस्ट जिसके
I hope everybody's comfortable in Hindi. Unfortunately, this is in Hindi. If not, let me know. I'll send you the transcript in English later. But yeah.
इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट करने वाला श्लोक है। और ये जैसे आप श्लोक समझोगे ना, फिर आपको समझ में आएगा कि प्रभु जी क्या बोलते हैं। ये श्लोक आप पीछे दोहराइए। उत्तिष्ठता जागृत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधता शूरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया दुर्गम पतस्थात् कवयो वदन्ति श्लोक समझा आपको? नहीं ना? उत्तिष्ठता इस श्लोक में बताया गया। उत्तिष्ठता मतलब उठ जाओ। उत्तिष्ठता जागृत जाग जाओ। प्राप्य आपको कुछ तो प्राप्त हुआ है, समझो क्या प्राप्त हुआ है। क्या प्राप्त हुआ है? मानव शरीर प्राप्त हुआ है। उठो जागो, मानव शरीर प्राप्त हुआ है। उत्तिष्ठता जागृत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधता, वरदान मिला है, वरदान। मूर्ख उठो जागो। पर याद रखो आध्यात्मिक जीवन आसान नहीं है। शूरस्य धारा, एक तलवार है उसके ऊपर आप चल रहे हो तो क्या होगा? कटेगा ना पैर। शूरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया, बहुत मुश्किल है आध्यात्मिक जीवन, बहुत बहुत मुश्किल है। ऐसा श्लोक है। दुर्गम पतस्तात्, ये जो पथ है बहुत अड़चने आएंगी। कवयो वदंती, बड़े बड़े ज्ञानियों ने कहा है कि आध्यात्मिक जीवन बहुत मुश्किल है। आओ आध्यात्मिक जीवन में आओ, ये शूरस्य धारा है। और ये सुनकर लोग बोले अरे वाह, हमको ये पाथ में जाना है जो इतना मुश्किल है, जो कुत्ते बिल्ली के जीवन के ऊपर है, और कुछ तो चैलेंज है, मीडियोक्रिटी से ऊपर उठ सकते हैं हम। मुझे ये जीवन फॉलो करना है। मतलब आप समझ रहे हो? आजकल ये श्लोक बोलेंगे ना, बोलेंगे हमको नहीं करना है, हमको कुछ इजी बताओ बाबा। तुरंत हमको कंफर्टेबल चाहिए। पहले आध्यात्मिक जीवन में वो लोग आते थे जिनको चैलेंज चाहिए था, जिनको कुत्ते बिल्ली के जीवन में जैसा नहीं रहना था, तपस्या करना था। नायम देहो देया बाजाम के कष्टान कामान अर्हते विड़ बुजाम, ये कुत्ते सुअर जैसा जिंदगी जी रहे हो, ऐसा सुखदेव गोस्वामी बोलते हैं। सुखदेव गोस्वामी तो फिर भागवतम क्लास गाली दे के शुरू करते हैं। स्विद वरा उष्ट्र खरे संस्तुत पुरुष पशु, तुम कुत्ते हो, तुम सुअर हो, तुम गधे हो, तुम ऊंट हो, ऐसा भागवतम क्लास शुरू करते हैं। हम लोग कैसे शुरू करते हैं? वी टेक परमिशन, अरे आपका आशीर्वाद दो, ऐसा वो फिदा। तो वो बोल रहे हैं कि ये ह्यूमन लाइफ इज मेंट फॉर तपस्या, इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट पाथ। और हम लोग कभी बोलेंगे नहीं किसी को, कोई नया आ रहा है उसको बोलेंगे हरे कृष्णा में आओ, बहुत मुश्किल मार के आओ आओ। कौन आएगा? हम बोलते बहुत इजी है, लड्डू खाओ, भगवत धाम जाओ। हम लोग वी जस्ट से लाइक दिस बिकॉज हमको ना, वी डोंट वांट टू लूज दैट पर्सन, क्योंकि वी वांट टू क्रिएट इंटरेस्ट इन पीपल। बट उस पे चक्कर में हम लोग फिर उसके इंटरेस्ट को, वो उसको पकड़ के रखना है, मेरा फॉलोअर बना के रखना है। तो फिर उसके इंटरेस्ट में फिर कॉम्प्रोमाइज चालू हो जाता है। हजारों लोग मिलेंगे ये।
Yeah. So that was the video. I specifically like that part. So, like Jagannath Gopal Prabhu said, reiterating his words, that, bhakti is simple but not easy. Therefore, now because we have got this great opportunity to do something good with our life, rise up from the platform of cats and dogs. So, I think we should practice bhakti seriously, by not thinking that it is very easy, but actually it is very difficult. Therefore, it requires our sincerity and seriousness. So, yeah, and I know that we are about to reach time. So, there are two more topics which Lord Kapil Dev covers, and I had some few slides for this, but I'll just scroll quickly through them. So then, Lord Kapila, he gives the conclusion of his entire teaching on Sankhya Yoga. And he tells that bhakti is the goal of all the paths, and jnana vairagya can be attained through bhakti, and the goal of all paths is actually to realize the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So supremacy of bhakti is talked about in verse number 22 and 23. Then in 26, Kapil Dev is glorifying the process, and he says that if somebody attains the Supreme Personality of Godhead by bhakti, he has attained or actually realized Brahman and Paramatma automatically. So this was very interesting. I wanted to speak more on about it, but unfortunately we don't have time. So Kapil Dev says that the result of bhakti, jnana, and yoga are achieved by performing bhakti alone. So, but we know that from jnana yoga we can attain Brahman. From yoga we can attain Paramatma, and by bhakti we can attain Bhagwan. So how can we attain or realize all three in one? The answer is that Bhagwan is the source of the other two. Therefore, if we realize the source, the other two automatically are realized. And this is this can be understood by the example of Sanat Kumar, who were Brahman, who were devotees of the Brahman before, but then when they saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha, they actually lamented that why did they stick to Gyan for so long, right? And then we can see Sukdev Goswami, who was so much happy and satisfied in Brahman, uh, but when he heard the glorification of Lord Krishna by some woodcutters, so he immediately felt a desire to learn about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a personal form. So that shows that the level of pleasure you can attain by recognizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in personal form is far, far, far more beyond than the pleasure attained by Brahman realization. So, yeah, that was one. Then, goal of all path is to realize Bhagwan. So, for example, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a very beautiful analogy. He says that if you want to understand what milk is, you can understand by seeing it that it is white. Somebody can tell you that it is milk. You can see that it is a white liquid. You can touch it and feel that it is cold. But you'll not know what actually milk is till the time you taste it. So similarly, you will not know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is till the time you realize the personal form of the Lord. Right? So these were some questions which I had, but we can skip now. Right? And the last one is the qualification to receive this knowledge and Falashruti. So that for that piece, I don't have any specific slides because it was pretty straightforward that this knowledge is for non-envious, for one who is a devotee, for one who is not beyond the mamata and ahankara. So, and it is not for one who's looking for material sense gratification. So, yeah, that is all what I have, dear devotees. Any comments? Sorry, it took a bit long and I had some more information, some more stories, but unfortunately, we are restricted by time. So, yeah, that is it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry you couldn't cover everything you had decided to, but such wonderful session you led, Prabhu, with such amazing slides and such relevant points. Actually, your questions were very deep, and it really made one think, about the deeper aspects of bhakti and everything. So, thank you very much, Prabhu. And I especially love your shloka reciting and shloka quizzes. Yeah, that is something close to my heart. So thank you very much for that too.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Amazing slides. And I really like how much effort you put and with so much dedication you prepare and deliver your classes. So So thank you so much for doing that. And yeah, please keep giving classes, Prabhu. It's really nourishing to hear when you speak. And one last request is the nice stories that you have that you couldn't cover, if you can put it on the Life of Devotion group, we can all read and get benefit from it. Thank you, Prabhu. Hari.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I really loved the class. And, the story about the sadhu waiting at the bank of the river, that was a very deep story. And, our life is like that. We say we keep waiting for something or the other to happen before we adopt bhakti. So that story really, it does touch my heart a lot. And, your class, there is so much enthusiasm in your voice when you speak, that I can almost feel the joy that you're getting from the class. And I feel like, oh my God, I'm not paying that much attention to Samaksh Prabhu when he's speaking, but he's speaking with so much energy that let me pay more attention because he's enjoying it so much. Maybe if I pay attention, I'll also get a little bit. So thank you so much for your enthusiasm and your preparation. The slides were so beautiful. I don't know how you're a magician in PowerPoint. I have to learn from you, Prabhu. These were such nice slides. So thank you so much for the class. Thank you for your preparation. You covered the class in such a nice way. Doing the Nishkama Karma Yoga. So many aspects you covered today, and then you also covered the overlaps with Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, and your thoughtful questions that you had interspersed in between, which made us think also. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, even Hare Krishna, everyone. I also wanted to thank Samaksh Prabhu because he very kindly, like I just at the last moment, I told him that can you please give the class, and I kind of burdened him. Like, I mean, Harikatha is not a burden, but I added a lot to his plate, and he so nicely took it without complaining. Although he had like it wasn't in his schedule or plan, and even after that, when he does all these classes, he will always tell me, oh my God, I've not prepared, it's really not nice. And when I listen to it, I'm like, I don't know what he was talking, like those toppers who study and they say they didn't study. So yeah, but I really wanted to thank him. It's like when they say in sickness or health, so in busyness or freeness, he's always there. And yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Vamshidhar Gopal Prabhu wants to say something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna, Samaksh Prabhu. It was really amazing class and the flow of the class, and I mean, you discuss philosophy at the same time you explained to us the how fun or easiness of bhakti, but at the same time how grave it is. And thank you for sharing that, like the video snippet of Braj Bihari Prabhu, that we have to be very serious and utilize our human birth for taking bhakti seriously. So it was mix of many things, many takeaways and beautiful slides. I missed some middle part of it, so I'm sure gonna go back to video and check it out. But thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for the class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, dear devotees, just one quick announcement is that tomorrow is Akshaya Tritiya. So, it is an auspicious. Akshaya means it symbolizes basically something that never diminishes. So, it is believed that any good deed, charity, investment, anything that you do on this day will continue to grow and bring everlasting blessings. So, it is said that it is a good time to start something. Akshaya Tritiya is a good time to start something. So if you want to start reading some scriptures, then tomorrow is the best day to start because what you start tomorrow will never diminish. It'll keep on increasing and you'll receive unlimited blessings. Just wanted to let you all know that's a very auspicious day tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for reminding us about that. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu, for the amazing class. And next week is the last chapter of this section, and it will be led by Her Grace Sindhu Kanya Mataji. After which we will looks like we will be studying um, the pastime of Lord Rishabdev and his teachings, because that's the section that is in the lead right now in the voting. So please vote if you haven't voted yet, and we will decide based on that. The voting will be open till tomorrow, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time, and for those in India till Thursday, 8:30 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, that's all, and then we will take it from there, and I'll reach out to devotees for leading. Okay. One sec. Okay, so that's all. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हिज ग्रेस समक्ष प्रभु की जय।
Jai.
हरि बोल।